competitive conference. And then after this year, bon voyage for Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston.
Greg, how much does it still – we've discussed this with you back in the fall of last year when the Big 12 reacted to Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC, and they're going to be a part of the conference maybe for another year, 2 or 3. And the other 4, they're coming. I mean, you Brigham Young as well. They're going to be a part of it as early as next summer. How much does that still sting Memphis that they're not a part of it? Oh,
it stings, guys. You can't even – put a percentage on it, but I guarantee you from every Tiger fan, really every resident in Memphis, knowing where they should be, feeling where they should be, and knowing that they're not there, especially when you have the likes of Ole Miss an hour and change down the road, and you have the SEC that's embedded in our community, it really does hurt. Memphis knows that if they got to a Power 5 conference, that they certainly have the ability to prosper in those conferences, not only financially, but look, this is a recruiting ground for a lot of those SEC schools. Memphis produces a lot of talent, whether it be football or basketball. If you're part of a Power 5 conference, there's a lot of guys now that will decide to stay home and play at Memphis because they'll be playing those big-time opponents. They will play in big-time venues, and you just don't have that right now. The American has done a pretty nice job, but let's be honest, it pales in comparison to being part of the Power 5. So it has stung. It has stung for years. The announcement of the 3 from the American Conference, along with BYU going to the Big 12, really hurts. And there's just hope that there will be, and I know you guys talk about it all the time, about that further expansion and the rumors that maybe Memphis and Boise State will eventually be a part of the Big 12. Nobody knows that, and those guys in the power positions during this press conference did not allude to it specifically, the Big 12, but they did talk in generalizations about realignment and future movement in collegiate athletics, and they want to be in position to be able to be valuable to somebody who's looking at them. And they feel now with this $150 to $200 million renovation of the stadium, they have succeeded in every area. Academically, they are much better than where they once were, and everywhere else, they feel really confident that they could help out and be a major positive part of a new conference.
Don't kill me for asking this, but weren't they just granted? Were they granted R1 recently, or am I behind the curve there?
No, you're absolutely right. So they move into that position now. They have a new president, Dr. Bill Hargrave, who takes over from Dr. David Rudd, and Bill Hargrave comes from Auburn, so he knows what it's all about. He knows the importance of athletics, but he also put a big emphasis on the academics, which should be first and foremost, and they are now in that better position. So from an academic standpoint, they are in the best position they've ever been in.
Greg, was there, I mean, if you look at what UCF and Houston in particular did when the Big 12 did their kind of phony, we're going to think about expansion thing, several years ago, which was just a total farce that Texas and Oklahoma put the kibosh on, UCF and Houston particularly said, okay, well, what do we have to do institutionally to where if this is ever real, we can go do it? Memphis obviously didn't do that until now. Why didn't they do that then? Was it just an institutional thing of we don't need to do this because they're never going to take us anyway? What was the reasoning for not looking forward at least a few years ago?
No, I don't think it was that they doubted that this was a possibility. I just don't think they were in position at that point financially to do anything from a new stadium to even this type of overhaul of the stadium. They just weren't in that position. Academically, they weren't in the position that they are in now that we just talked about. So I just think it came down to where they felt pretty good about themselves as being an attractive school for possible expansion in the Big 12. And I don't think they looked at it like we're out of the mix here. But when the report came out and it was 12 finalists or whatever we heard, which was just ludicrous, that Memphis was not even on that list, I think a bolt of reality struck that, wow, we are behind the 8 ball and we need to do something because for the future, we really have to put ourselves in position to be a part of that Power 5 structure the way things are going.
So, Greg, there were a number of